Creepy men in McDonald's women's bathroom. I'm driving home and I stopped in a McDonald's because I had to use the restroom. As I left the stall to wash my hands, a late middle-aged man was in the middle of the women's room. I did not hear him go in. Luckily another man saw him, held the door for him, and told him to get the hell out of the women's room because his daughter was in there. I went around him to wash my hands, and as I was washing them he stared me down like he was undressing me with his eyes. After almost being pulled out by the men with the daughter, he left, thank God. As I was walking out of the bathroom, the creepy dude was right outside the door, in between the entrances for both bathrooms. Thank God the other guy was there. Who knows what would have happened if he wasn't. I was so freaked out I got out as fast as I could, and I'm thinking now I probably should have said something, even though they were pretty busy in the restaurant and I didn't want to bother them. Please be careful out there. You never know when you could encounter a creep. Creepy encounter at McDonald's. So this was probably like a year ago, but I still remember it pretty vividly just because of how creepy it was. So I walk into a McDonald's at around 8 p.m.-ish. The place was mostly empty except for the employees and a few people sitting in a booth. In the booth there was an older man, maybe 50 to 60, sitting next to a child, maybe 2 years old, across from a woman, mid-30s. The man was being very friendly with the child, like playing / making faces and everything. It was very enthusiastic, almost like watching a clown try to make a kid laugh. The woman looked pale and she seemed a little distraught, like she was a little concerned, but she didn't say anything. I ordered my food and waited, and eventually the older man got up and left. The kid kept saying, "Bye daddy," to him and waving. The old guy kept waving at the kid through the window. Then one of the employees asked, was that his grandpa? And the lady looked over with a terrified look and said, "I've never met that man in my life." Edit. I probably should have made it clearer that the man was sitting next to the kid with his arm on the booth and everything. As in, he walked up to a mother, sitting across from the kid, who was alone with her child and sat next to the child, as a total stranger. Homeless lady approaches my car while I'm eating alone at the McDonald's, doesn't realize I'm not stupid. Yes, I was eating in my car. It was late, almost midnight, and the dining room had already been closed up. The town I live in has a lot of poverty, so the occasional bum or beggar isn't really a big deal. So out of the corner of my eye I see a figure at my window and hear a knock. I instantly make sure my doors are locked and crack the window a bit to speak to her. She's obviously disheveled, layered up in coats and toting a big purse in each hand. First she calmly asks if she can get a ride to the pharmacy. I tell her I'm sorry, I'm about to head home and I can't. Immediately she goes into some crocodile tears. I'm sitting there like, dude, there's a Walgreens a block from this McDonald's and a CVS a block down from that. She tells me she's gone to both and that they're closed, suggesting a specific street on which there is an open pharmacy. Remember how I said I live here? Yeah. The Walgreens is obviously never closed. I immediately roll up my window and go back to finishing my burger, and she starts knocking again on the window, loudly. The good thing is, the bass in my car is turned all the way up and the sound leaks a lot, so I just cranked up my white-ass music until she left. Very creepy, just because I could tell half of what she was telling me was a lie. Near miss at McDonald's. My first job was at McDonald's. This building was attached to a gas station and located off of a busy highway. I was 14, all kinds of bad luck at this age, and started a 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift. This early, the store was usually empty, so only 3 people, myself included, were in the restaurant: the manager, who was in the back, the cook, who was also in the back, and I, the cashier, who was up front. I was wiping down the counter when a man who looked to be in his mid-30s or early 40s came in. He did not order anything, but went straight to the restrooms, which were in the restaurant area just around the corner for my cash. Many truckers and travelers would come in to simply use the washrooms and leave, so this was not an uncommon occurrence. I didn't think much of it, but after the man finished, he came up to the counter and said, "Excuse me, I was just in the washroom and one of the toilets is overflowing." I immediately came around the counter and let him lead me towards the restroom. Suddenly, I got a horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach and stopped dead in my tracks. I became very aware that no one was in the restaurant area, and the only other two people in the store were in the back and would not be able to hear me if I went into the restroom. The man had the restroom door open and realized I had paused. He nonchalantly said, "Come on in, I'll show you," which came off innocently enough, but it didn't sit well with me. I smiled and said, "One moment, I'll get my manager," and I started making my way back to the counter. "It will only take a minute," he called out. I met my manager in the back and explained to him that a man was complaining about an overflowing toilet. My manager went to check it out and I followed closely behind him. When we turned the corner, the man was gone and we entered the restroom. No toilet was overflowing. We exchanged a look and never brought it up again. To this day, I feel like some divine intervention gave me the wisdom to know not to follow the men into the restroom. The whole situation only lasted a few seconds, but it felt like forever. I was young and trusting, and this man could have done God knows what and I wouldn't have been heard. He could have left, got away with whatever it was he had planned, and hit the highway. I never did see him again. McDonald's abduction attempt. I was around 8 or 9 when this happened. Obviously I don't remember much since I was kid, so I recently asked my mom what she remembered about that day. My mom was taking my sister and I to see a movie. We decided to stop at McDonald's to kill some time. A strange guy wearing a purple suit followed us in and sat at a nearby table without ordering anything. After we finished eating, I got up to go clean my retainer in the bathroom sink. The man followed me into the bathroom and stood between me and the door. He asked me if I wanted a juice box. I said no, but he told me I needed to go out to his car with him so I could pick out the flavor. My parents had drilled into my head to never go with a stranger, so I immediately knew what was happening. I ran past him and out the bathroom door into the lobby and told my mom what had happened. He followed me out and started coming towards us. My mom stood up and started making a big scene. She loudly asked him why he was trying to get her son to go out to his car with him. He said he was just trying to give me a juice box and then hurriedly left and got in his car and drove off. Luckily there was a police car in the parking lot, so we waved the cop down and told him what had happened. Unfortunately, the man in the purple suit was gone by this point. I had forgotten most of what happened before and after the incident, but I still vividly remember the terror I felt being alone in the bathroom with him blocking the door. It was only 10 to 20 seconds, but I'll never forget that uneasy feeling. I'm grateful my mom was such a rock star and knew to make a scene to scare him off. No idea what would have happened if I had gone out there with him.